Hello and welcome once again to Classroom Power-Ups. I am going to be presenting at the Florida Future of EdTech Conference in Florida in January, and I have been desperately trying to get a presentation ready. And this is one of my practice sessions, and I'm just going to record it. I've done this a few times, and I've never really been happy with the way that it worked. I did not like the flow of the presentation. I didn't like how sort of rambly it got. So I am working from a script this time, and I'm going to try to memorize some of this. And I have a PowerPoint which I only have about half done, but I want to record this and see how it flows because it's going to give me some, hopefully, accountability on this. So let's see how it works. Thank you for joining me on this. And all right, this is where it would start. So at this point, I'd be introduced. Oh, this is when I'm going to be presenting, by the way. So Tuesday, January 29th at 3 o'clock in Orlando. All right, so I'm not really sure how this is going to work. I have 15 minutes to set up before the actual presentation. Then the session starts, and I have 40 minutes. I have a little game worked in here. I'm anticipating the game taking about 10, maybe 15 minutes. So the timing of this might be a little funky, and I want to leave a little bit of time for questions. Excuse me. So I believe what's going to happen is I will be setting up, and then I'll be able to walk on the stage, and I'm going to say, hello, and thank you for coming to my session. I tend to be cynical and a bit negative in professional development settings. So as I was making this presentation, I wanted to have a clear and positive message. This is what I came up with. Blended learning is hard because traditional data collection is the worst. Wait, that doesn't really work. Let's tweak that. Traditional data collection is the worst, but game-inspired designs can make it fun and engaging. That's a little bit better. Now, since we are all at the FETC, I'm going to be working on the assumption that you all know a little bit about blended learning. I was introduced to the technique about 5 years ago. Around the same time, I was starting to think about gamification. My district was really pushing the station rotation model, but I was more interested in the general concept than the specific model because I was seeing that there was a connection between my game theories and blended learning theories. I also found out that there isn't one correct way to do blended learning. So here's my working definition. I believe that blended learning is when you combine physical and digital learning spaces to personalize the student's experience. As a side benefit, this also allows more interaction with the students. And what a fantastic idea! You're going to tailor the student's educational experience to best fit their needs. But there's a catch. If our goal is to personalize the instruction, we as teachers need to know what the students need to know. And that's hard because data collecting is hard. And data collecting is hard because traditional collection methods don't really think about the student or the teachers. Let me tell you a story about that. And it's going to be based on two of my favorite students. Okay, that's true, but they're two of my sons. Here's my kids. Wesley is 8 now, and Benjamin is 6. Benny's really happy that I am presenting today because yesterday he got to spend his 6th birthday in the Magic Kingdom. Last year, in 2nd grade, Wesley started to get real homework for the first time. And it was a difficult transition. Wesley's bright, and he's artistic, and more than capable of doing the 15 minutes of math homework he was assigned twice a week. But almost every night, there would be tears, tantrums. Sometimes even Wesley would cry. But this is the same kid who would willingly spend hours trying and failing at puzzle games like Snail Bob or building games like Minecraft. The traditional check on his math skills didn't factor in his desire to go outside or throw the football, to watch cartoons, or just hook up the Xbox. So last year during winter break, I decided to take a chance with Wes while my wife was out helping Santa. I've been toying around with updating some battle mechanics in my classroom, and I wanted to try them out before I use them in class. I teach juniors, and they'd already been reviewing by attacking bad guys, and the first version of this was you get a correct answer, and you get to take 1 attack point off of the bad guy's hit points. My twist then was to add dice rolls. Instead of 1 question equal 1 point off of the bad guy's score, the student's attack would be equal to the dice roll. It was fun, but after 2 units the novelty was wearing off, so I was trying to create an actual battle where the bad guy could fight back. I eventually developed something which I called Dread Sheets. It uses Google Sheets, but I needed a guinea pig for this first draft and just to test out the mechanics, and, well, Wesley was there. This could have gone really badly in so many ways. But his brother was watching Paw Patrol, so I asked Wes if he would help me out and get some one-on-one dad time. He agreed, and we grabbed some old homework sheets. Remember, these are the same sheets that led to frustration and anger. But this time we played a game. He would work the question out, and if he answered correctly, he rolled the dice to attack. But the monsters had special abilities too. One of his favorites was the boulder bug, which was protected by a shell that could only be broken by a doubles dice roll. What was really interesting was when Ben's TV show was over, he saw what we were doing and he asked to join in. We played another half an hour with Ben doing pre-K type questions about the alphabet and Wes doing math homework. We went a full hour of math homework with no tears and no yelling, even when he got a question wrong. And from my teacher's perspective, I also now knew which types of questions both of them were struggling with and how to correct them. And I knew immediately, and I could address it immediately. By the way, Wesley was so excited about this game, he even used his artistic skills to help make me a new monster. This is the Fire Fan Man. Now, if I were you, and I were in the audience, at this point, this is where I'd be rolling my eyes and saying, sure, this works for 2 kids, and it's just because you're their dad. Fair point. So, let's play. When you came in, there were hopefully a die and a QR code on your seat. If not, you can help your neighbor, or you can watch, or if you look at the walls, there's side quests that I put up there. Just scan it and scan the QR code on the wall, and you can go off on a little journey for a while we play. I would encourage you to use headphones while you do this. There's some videos. What you're looking at is actually not it is a QR code. What you're looking at is actually a Plickers card. I'm going to project a question.
Thank you for your efforts.
I'm going to project a question, and you will show me your answer with the Plicker code. What you're going to do is put the letter of the answer on the top of the square when you show me the card. I will scan the room with my phone, and if you get the question correct, you can roll the die and attack the monster by submitting the Google form. The address for that form is on the back of your Plickers card. If you're wrong, select Miss from the drop-down menu and submit. For question number 2, you just submit the form again. So at this point is where I would leave the PowerPoint, and on one half of the screen I would have the Dread Sheets monster with the hit points, and on the other side of the sheet I'm going to be projecting Plickers.com. I'll have my phone out and I will be scanning the room. I have 3 questions. One question is going to be about who's presenting at the FETC conference. I'm going to get some of my friends involved with this. I'm going to, one of the correct answer choices, Sal Khan is presenting on Monday's keynote, but I'm going to do a shout out to Game Boy Drew and Mr. Matera and who the other person was. Second question is going to be about the size of the Orange County Conference Center, which is 2,100,000 square feet. And the third question is about Plickers. So when I'm doing this presentation, what I'm going to be able to show is that on the Plickers projection, I can show the number that are missed. I can show which questions were missed. I'm going to have on the PowerPoint what I can see, the reports that I get later from Plickers, and I'm going to show that to the all right, thank you for playing with me. For the PowerPoint there right are other uses for Plickers. My Twitter friend, Scott Hebert, he uses Plickers for level mastery checks. You can use it to take attendance. You can use it for need help, the level of help that you need. So there's other options that you can use that for. Now, this battle type of activity is what I would use instead of a traditional quiz. I get the same information in roughly the same amount of time. Students have more incentive to answer correctly, but they're not punished if they get the question wrong. Most importantly, it can be fun. Instead of dreading a quiz, they can look forward to a game, even if it's just to see a new monster or to play with the dice. As a teacher, I like the instant data and the ability to rapidly address any misconceptions. We all know that that's only one type of data. More important to me are informal check-ins where I can talk to students and monitor their progress and develop deeper relationships. Traditional teacher-led instruction doesn't really allow for these types of assessments on a regular basis, though. Now, the district suggested the station rotation model of blended learning, but that doesn't really allow for it either. I spent the better part of 3 years working on a model that I like to think of as an open-world game-inspired blended learning model, because games really have mastered the collection and the use of data almost as much as Facebook. Now, when I was growing up, my favorite game was always Super Mario Brothers. It's a side-scrolling platformer masterpiece. The player starts at point A and moves towards point B, and the game is constantly assessing the player's skills. For example, in the opening moments of the game, the player's ability to jump on the mushroom guy is tested. If they're successful, the player moves on to the jump over the hole assessment. What I really love about the game, though, is the rapid feedback loop with the really low risk-taking penalty. If the player tries something and fails, Mario shrugs his shoulders, and the player tries again. Overall, though, I would equate Super Mario Brothers with the traditional classroom. There might be some choices in the level, but in the end, all the players end up in the same place. This is not the gamified model that I would choose for a blended learning classroom. A better model is probably the Grand Theft Auto series. Not school appropriate. So let's go with Zelda. These are sometimes referred to as open world games. They're big, expansive worlds that allow the player to explore and go on quests, and they're just dripping with thematic feelings. The games do provide guardrails, though, that teach the player the necessary skills and keep them on an overall trajectory towards a final goal. Most importantly, though, the player is the center of the gaming universe that is full of meaningful choices, critical and creative thinking options, and overall growth. Using the open world games has been my inspiration. Here are the guiding principles of my open world blended model. 1. Growth mentality through experience points or XP grading. This is a variation on mastery learning. 2. Meaningful choices through questing. You have a main quest and some side quests, and that allows for creative and critical thinking through flexible assessments. It allows for rolling submission deadlines, and it increases the opportunity for conferencing with students. 3. Rapid feedback loops through battles and through increased conferencing, and others. 4. I need a theme. And 5. Overall, there are many paths to victory. Players, or in this case students, can play differently by the quest that they choose, power-ups that they can select, different items that they can find. Now, all these concepts blend together, and I write about them extensively on my blog, classroompowerups.com. But there's way too much for the time that we have left. So I want blended part of this. The part I want to talk about this is the conferencing, because students are doing different things at different times, and because they work until they show a level of mastery, and because I'm no longer up front lecturing, I spend most of my day walking around conferencing with students. I'm not a sage on the stage anymore, but I have an expertise that I think gets overlooked with the whole guide on the side thing. Can we start calling this the Wizard of Walking and Talking? I think that sounds better. I spend most of my day walking around and informally assessing student work. My favorite part of this is that I rarely collect papers anymore. The students and myself have a conversation about their work, and I give feedback on the spot. And since we're conferencing 2 or 3 times per class, I can look at pieces of the whole work in a minute or two, rather than taking a quarter of an hour to look at the whole paper or project. The feedback is nearly instantaneous and is meaningful, rather than the student rather than meaninglessly after a 2-week delay from when the work was submitted. The instant feedback also means instant iteration. If the work shows mastery, then the student's finished and they move on. But if it doesn't, then they need to go back and fix it immediately. Now, thinking back to me sitting in the audience, you're probably asking, wait, how do you grade all this? Wait, this seems to be a ton of work. Wait, there's no way my principal or parents or teammates are going to go for this. Or the kids are going to think I'm goofy. My students wouldn't handle the freedom. But I have a standardized test. Sure, these are all valid concerns. But try one thing. There's no one correct way to gamify. Be inspired by games. Make the data collection more engaging. Being painful doesn't make something good for you, just like being fun doesn't make it less valuable. And now I had to figure out a way to end this. When I was writing it, that sounded like a good ending. Not so much. So the first chunk was 10 minutes. That's 7 minutes. 17 minutes. So at most I have a half an hour here. So I need to find some more stuff to add in here. I think I'm going to talk about XP grading. And I think I will add that in there. I think that I can add some stuff about theme. I can add some stuff about adding choices and how units are kind of like sections of the map. So I got some room to work here. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed that practice. Again, I'm going to be presenting at the Future of EdTech conference, January 29th, which is a Tuesday, and I hope to see you there. And at the very least, hopefully you like this presentation enough that you're going to like it, and you hit the subscribe button, and then you can come and join me again some other day. Thanks, and have a wonderful holiday season.